Welcome to our three-part web series, The New Normal, How to Expertly Handle Senior Issues Today. Our mission is educating you on the power of using experts to help you decode Medicare, long-term care, and elder law issues. When you are empowered with accurate and efficient information, you can protect your family well, spend your healthcare dollars well, and remain calm and confident in your daily lives. The group of experts we have for this series include Keith Knabb of Affordable Medicare Solutions, Sabrina Scott of Red Feather Financial, and Shannon Polly of the Estate and Asset Protection Firm. Each expert will highlight one area of information in each 15-minute segment. Today we are hosted by Sabrina concerning the long-term care planning. Our final segment will have Shannon teach us how to be accurate and legally ready for a healthcare event or untimely passing of a loved one. Sabrina has been helping people to plan for their long-term care since 2012 when she started working with Victoria Collier at her estate planning law firm. She started by assisting clients with their Medicaid and VA Veterans Administration applications. She became so adept at doing these that she ended up training other attorneys on how to prepare VA claims. Now with her own financial services business formed in partnership with Victoria, Sabrina focuses on finding ways to allow a client's assets to last at least as long as they do, so that relying on government benefits is not necessary. She is licensed in insurance and is a registered investment advisor representative. Sabrina, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Keith. Hello, everyone. Yes, we are a financial services firm, but our focus is long-term care planning. So that is what I want to talk to you about today. So my business is Red Feather Financial. It was co-founded with Victoria Collier, an estate planning attorney. We are an independent financial advisory firm, meaning we do not represent any particular insurance carrier. We specialize in income for life, making your money last as long as you do, and asset-based long-term care solutions. So about me, I met Victoria Collier because my parents were clients of her law firm. My father had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and that was the beginning of his long-term care journey, and everything we had to go through from a legal, financial standpoint, when this occurred. So I had firsthand experience with long-term care challenges. Not only with my dad, but then also with my mother. My mother is 91 years old, and she had some issues she had with her long-term care insurance. She had to have a claim filed, and I had to fight the insurance company to get those paid. So I have, like I said, firsthand experience with long-term care challenges. I have over 5 years experience, basically since 2012, working with VA pension. This is non-service connected pension, and nursing home Medicaid in the state of Georgia. VA pension is a federal benefit, but nursing home Medicaid, specifically in Georgia, was my area. I'm licensed in Georgia to sell life and accident sickness insurance, and I'm also an investment advisor rep, so I can make recommendations regarding securities. So what is long-term care planning? It's the process for planning for your future. The primary goals as we see it are to preserve, when we approach long-term care planning, is to preserve independence as long as possible, because that is something that people do lose when they become disabled. We also want to preserve your dignity. You want your long-term care to treat you in the manner that you've always been treated. You also want choice. You don't want choices taken away from you. And if you do not plan, choices are taken away from you. And then also, finally, to preserve your life savings, because ultimately long-term care planning requires generally out-of-pocket expense. So that's something you need to be very aware of. So what exactly is long-term care? Well, long-term care is when a person needs assistance with at least 2 activities of daily living. You sometimes see this abbreviated as ADL. Or when a person requires supervision due to cognitive impairment. So cognitive impairment means things like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, essentially dementia. When a person can no longer live by themselves or cannot make it the whole day without the supervision of another person or the assistance of another person. Long-term care is exactly that. It's generally long-term care. And while you might need assistance with at least 2 activities of daily living for a while after you're recovering from surgery, generally for a certain period after surgery, those things are covered by your insurance, by your rehab, by Medicare. Now, these are not things that are considered long-term care. It's basically what is covered after whatever issue we're having has been treated and you're no longer receiving active treatment. Who's going to help you with doing the day-to-day stuff that medical insurance is not going to pay for? So to go into a little bit more detail, the activities of daily living, and it kind of depends on who you ask. Some people say there's 5, some say there's 6, and I'm sure someone's come up with 7 or 8. So, but these are the ones essentially that you'll see most often. So here there's 6: transferring, dressing, bathing, feeding, toileting, and incontinence. I think these are all fairly straightforward. Essentially, if someone needs assistance with at least 2 of these activities, then at that point, they meet the definition of disability, and that type of activity of a daily living would be considered long-term care. You can file a claim with your traditional long-term care, your traditional medical insurance for your co-pays for your doctor, for your hospital, for your surgeries. But if you suffer any type of disability and you require long-term support in these areas, your regular medical insurance does not pick up these costs. This is generally something that you need to pay for. So that's the big question. How are you going to pay for your long-term care? So sometimes people are just say, well, I'm not going to need any long-term care. And that certainly is a possibility. If you die young, heart attack or a quick death, then, I guess in a sense, you won't need to plan for long-term care. But unfortunately, because most people don't know, I would say the majority of people do not know what's happening in the future, it's a risk that you have to decide whether or not you want to run that risk. So just to give you some statistics, 52% of people turning 65 will need some type of long-term care in their lifetimes. Some type of long-term care. So you might say 50-50. So, maybe those odds to you are pretty good, but that you may not need it. I'll throw another statistic in there. 70% of people in the nursing home are women. So you might think, well, if I'm a man, I don't really need it as much as, maybe we should just cover the wife and not me, the husband. So, you could use that statistic. Then how long do you need it for? Because that's another thing too is, are you going to need long-term care for 6 months? Are you going to need it for 5 years? Do you know of cases of people staying in assisted living or nursing home for more than 2 years, for more than 3 years? Maybe it's not the norm, but it does happen. But to give you an idea of the statistics, the statistics are that if you're a woman, the average number of years that a woman needs long-term care is 2.5 years. And the average number of years that men need long-term care is only 1.5 years. And that's mainly because men generally tend to die before women. So that's part of that reason. So you may want to say, well, you know what? Maybe if I plan for the average, I would say that at a minimum, you want at least, that average, covered. So in terms of, when you're thinking about your paying for long-term care and planning for it. So what are the ways to pay? So here we go. There's many ways to pay, many options that we can look at, and some of them you may or may not have considered. So of course, number one is private savings, family resources. So that is cash or assets. You know, you may have money in an account and or bonds. You know, this type of thing where essentially you're liquidating, you know, cash assets or cash in order to pay for long-term care. And then family resources means when you run out of money, what happens? Well, hopefully you're in a situation where your family can then step in and help you pay for that. So then getting more into type of the financial, the types of things that a financial services company could assist you with are the next 5. So we're talking about reverse mortgages, where essentially you own your house or you use the equity in your house to get a loan that provides you income. There's certain situations where we would do that. And I'm not going to go into great detail about any one of these, but just to give you an idea of the range of things available. Conversion of an existing life insurance policy into long-term care funding. So there's a way of doing that. Then there's traditional long-term care insurance, where you pay a premium and that pays you a certain pool of benefits, generally a limited pool of benefits. Then there is the solution that we focus on, although we certainly look at all of these options, is the asset-based long-term care. So this is essentially life insurance with long-term care riders and annuities that have long-term care benefits. And these can be in the form of a rider or not, but those are the two main the solutions that we find provide the best amount of benefit for the investment that you're making. And then finally, the last two, veterans benefits and Medicaid, while certainly we consider those, these are government benefits. And generally, when it comes to that type of benefit, you are assisted by a law firm. So that would be the type of benefit that certainly we would refer you to a law firm like the estate and asset protection law firm who could assist you with that. And then the only thing that's not here is your income. I mean, I guess that's kind of part of the first point, the private savings is, you know, even when you're disabled and you may be retired and, you know, not receiving an active wage, you may be getting Social Security. Hopefully you're getting Social Security. Maybe you're getting a pension. Maybe you're getting money from your investments. So it's that income. So you also want to consider, well, how much income do I think I'm going to have in retirement? And how much more is long-term care going to cost me? And will I be making enough to pay for it? So what are some of the things that people come to see us about when it comes to their retirement? A study completed by the American College of Financial Planning found that retirees have 5 major fears. Outliving their money, not having enough, living too long, not dying soon enough, however you want to put it, but outliving their money. Control of money, losing control of money. It's having to do something with your money that means you can't touch it. That if there's an emergency, oh my God, I've done an annuity or something that you know, because you hear horror stories about these things, which is, you know, not the case when you have an appropriately appropriately implemented financial plan. You know, you should have control of your money. Rising inflation. Inflation, there's, you know, inflation for everyday things like gas and milk and oil, you know, those things, but then there's the inflation for medical expenses, and that generally increases at a higher rate than normal inflation. Then there are the fears that while you make sure that you have money potentially to enjoy your retirement and to take care of yourself if you become disabled, it would be nice to leave a legacy to your family members. Do you have to choose one or the other? Hopefully you don't. Hopefully you can make a plan for long-term care. And if you don't need to use that money for long-term care, then yes, let's pass it on to your beneficiaries, whether that's family or charities or a combination. And then another fear is investment mistake. putting money into the market, making losses, not having things allocated according to your risk tolerance. Having what's going on now where the market's going up and going down and, having decreases, that sort of thing. So these are fears that people have, and they're mirrored in what are really retirement risks. And I don't want to frighten anyone, but there's a book called The Danger Zone, 18 risks that can derail retirement. So apparently there's 18. I'm not going to go over all 18. I'm just going to point out, some of the major ones here. And these all speak directly to the fears that people have. There's a longevity risk. What happens if you live longer than you think? Inflation risk. There's the risk that the inflation for what you're planning for is going to increase at a higher rate than other goods. Withdrawal risk. So maybe you have a retirement fund and you're planning on withdrawing a certain percentage every year. And you know that as long as you withdraw that certain percentage, you're going to be fine. But if you have a catastrophic event, you become disabled and need long-term care, you may suddenly have to start drawing money out of those accounts. And by withdrawing that additional money out of accounts, that money is no longer there to grow, and you could potentially lose future income. And then market risk is what's going on oftentimes in the market these days with market volatility. Are we taking a risk putting my money in the market? When it comes time for me to take that money out, is it going to be there? Are the gains going to be there that I need? And then finally, elder care risk, which is very important. And this is something that the elderly are susceptible to, being taken advantage of, powers of attorney, whether it be by family members, unfortunately, friends, or strangers. That can derail a retirement. Also being given bad advice and putting that information, tying up your money in a way that shouldn't, if you need to have that money liquid. So one of the main pieces of legislation that I want to touch on before I finish today is I want to mention it because so many financial advisors are unaware of the Pension Protection Act. It is a federal law. It's effective in 2010. So it's been a while. So you'd think, well, why don't more people know about it? It was a federal law designed to encourage the purchase of long-term care, making it easier for you to use existing retirement assets to buy long-term care sources of income, and doing it on a tax-free basis. So we find over and over again, this is essentially the first place we look when we're looking for a client, because if we can find that they qualify for an asset-based long-term care solution, their assets will be leveraged, to the most that they can be. So the Pension Protection Act, it allows you to withdraw cash value from life insurance or funds from an existing annuity tax-free to buy long-term care insurance. It also allows you to completely exchange an existing annuity for a long-term care policy on a tax-free basis. And it also allows you to access funds from certain types of long-term care annuities tax-free to pay for long-term care. Of course, you need to read your annuity policy carefully to see what benefits you have. For more information, please go to our website, www.redfeatherfinancial.com, or you can call me or email me at info@redfeatherfinancial.com. Thank you. Keith, I'll turn it over to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sabrina. That was very interesting and certainly valuable information. Families need your advice for sure, because peace of mind is so important in these stressful times. We can send you these slides by emailing sabrina@redfeatherfinancial.com. Also, Sabrina has a wealth of educational material for free download at her website, redfeatherfinancial.com. Next time, we'll be educated by Shannon Pauley of the Estate and Asset Protection Law Firm. She is an expert in elder law and veterans issues. You don't want to miss her important information for families. Thanks for viewing today. See you next time.